Welcome back to
Ooh.
What Plus Live. I am the Great Went, joined by T and the Mystery Square. Matt will be here in just a second. He forgot because we can be forgettable at times. How are we doing today, T?
Good. How are you doing, Kev?
Good. We dropped the thing this morning about the Eagles doing Halloween. We're gonna vamp a little bit here, folks. Doing Halloween, and somebody pointed out to me today that Trey's daughter's getting married around that time. So I think any dreams of Halloween this year are just out the window. Plus, we got 8 shows coming. I really feel like the tour is going to be Bourbon and Beyond through Hampton. You know what I'm saying? And there he is.
There he is.
Sorry about that.
Oh,
That's
good.
Right. These things happen. These things happen. I was just talking about people on Halloween. Everyone was like, PHiSH is going to do the Sphere on Halloween. Not everyone, but people were saying
I
that.
believed
the Eagles, the Eagles yesterday announced they were doing it. So apparently Trey's daughter's getting married that week or something. So
well, I think we had heard at the Sphere last year that was the play. I don't remember from who or how or what, but I remember leaving there believing they're playing Halloween next time around. And it seemed to make sense if they just wanted to do it in little 4-show runs, and don't want to do long-term residencies there, then like a 4-night Halloween run would be perfect for them there. So it made so much sense. I believed it, but it wasn't true.
Well, and it seemed like the logical next step, because Kevin and I were saying, how do you top what you've done, or how do you expand upon what you've done? And I think the next step would be doing like a Halloween show or something of that caliber in there on top of everything else. So, it would make sense. So, yeah.
I can't see them ever doing a New Year's run there, but I can see Halloween.
Yeah, exactly.
Has always worked for them.
Yep.
My whole thing is, though, they created something different for every song that I feel like was a one-time thing. In their minds, we're doing this one time, whereas every other band that's played, they recycle stuff, which, my God, the enormity of what you're doing to put on a whole show with all those graphics, you kind of have to. So
yeah,
and that's where we are. How we doing, Matt? I got to see you the 2 times I've seen you in the past couple months were at Sam Grisman and at God Street, who you're both working with. Well, why don't you give us the latest on both of those guys?
God Street just finished a very good 5-show run for them. And 5 is about as much as I think you'll see them do in one run these days. And they've got 2 in Chicago on sale at the New Garcias mid-September. And I'd expect something else the weekend after that that's still coming together a little bit, but most likely Northeast. And
cool.
Pretty close to there. They recorded the last show of the last run of Bearsville Theater was recorded for a Relics live vinyl. Just got the first mixes of that yesterday, and that's sounding really good.
Sweet.
Very excited for that. There'll be probably at least 2 vinyl. Probably have to be 3. If we could get the whole show on 3, there's a chance we do it that way.
Nice.
We'll see what it ends up. What's actually possible.
I guess it's tough with, if everyone doesn't know, the drummer for God Street Wine lives in what, Germany?
Berlin. Yeah, he's in Berlin.
So there's logistics involved with getting them.
There's logistics and costs, and so we try to do 2 weekends in a row when we do something, because it makes the more sense. If he's going to come over here, then he gets 2-3 weeks over here. He can see some family and do a bunch of shows and then go back. We can't keep bringing him back and forth. One here, one there. That would
right.
Exactly. And then you got Sam Grisman.
Yeah, we just celebrated his dad's 80th birthday in Seattle, which was a pretty awesome night. It was unique for me doing, I've certainly done my share of, the big guest type of shows. Doing it in this world has been fascinating. It's been a lot different. They rehearse so much. Both days in Seattle, they played, I would say, almost 12 hours each day. I remember needing to open doors. They were rehearsing. And because the stage of the Moore Theater is so big, it's so deep, for a band with basically no risers, no drums, no amps, just standing around condenser microphones, you don't need all that stage space. So we had a curtain kind of cut the stage down in half and just make it feel a little more intimate. it's basically music made for a living room. So it struggles in bars, but in nice theaters like the Moore, it's where it works best. So I got them off stage so I could open doors, but they just went behind the curtain and kept playing. They never stopped. Like they walked playing, they got behind the curtain, and they kept going for another 20, 30 minutes. There's some Dave Van got some great pictures of it all that I'm sure online all over the place. But it was cool. And that went for like another half hour. All the people were coming into the theater, and the slideshow was playing with that music. And
I got to catch some videos that people put up. Maybe you put up some too, but one of them was Billy doing Grateful Dog.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. I was thinking watching that Billy is like the real torchbearer for Garcia acoustic. I would say Mayer on the other side for the electric thing, but I mean, right. he so honors Garcia, and he's just so proficient. I just love that kid.
Yeah, he was humbled by the whole thing. He was none of that was lost on him, and I thought he was phenomenal. I thought David was phenomenal too, especially not having really played out live, other than sitting in with Sam Grisman Project a couple of times in the last 3 years. He hasn't played a show of his own since before the pandemic, 2019.
And it's great that you got him out there. I mean, and new music.
There were some new tunes, and it was almost all new music. Yeah. The original idea was Sam and Billy, and then the younger kids would play the old Dog music in set one, and then Dog and almost every member of a quintet, Joe Craven and Jim Kerwin from the groups he do with Garcia, were all out there. They would do the newer stuff, but it of course ended up with both in both sets by the time it all came.
Were there 4 or 5 basses on the stage at the end?
Maybe 5, because I didn't even know David's wife Tracy Grisman played upright bass until I think that weekend. I knew she played guitar and sang, but I remember seeing her with an upright at some point.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, it was great. So Sam, Sam just I mean, within the minutes of me getting on air, was landing in Colorado and getting he's got a 4-show run starting in Fort Collins tomorrow night. Goes through Denver, Frisco, I think, and then they go up to Portland and Eugene with meet up with Peter Rowan and do I think 3 or 4 Pacific Northwest shows. Bend, Portland, Eugene, with Peter Rowan.
Right.
And then he'll probably have at least another 50, 60 days before the end of the year.
Wow.
Sam's goal is 100 dates a year, and it's come pretty close to it. Yeah.
And if people don't know, part of what Sam does is the whole band is around a single mic. They don't run through house PAs generally, right?
We run through the house PA with Sammy. His sound engineer Ed brings his own console, a little mini console he records with too.
Okay.
I think it's usually the number of condenser mics does vary based on how many people are in the particular lineup. There's one main one, and I'm not a techie, so I don't know the exact model number, but it's an old expensive mic. That's sort of the main one. Then there's usually one on each side of the stage on the waves, just as people drift, and then we need a vocal mic for the percussionist in Sam's project, who's in a set position on stage. If he's playing shakers or something, he can move up to the main mics. But it is a very fluid stage, which is definitely new for me. I'm used to guys being plugged in tied to their amps or behind their plexiglass and tied to their kits, and being very compartmentalized. And this is very free flowing. Where people move in and out, and it's very interesting. I love it.
That's cool.
It is. It's fantastic. So I haven't really got to talk to you. When I saw you at God Street, we talked for just a minute. I was an idiot and went to the wrong club. You had to come get me from the 9:30 club, right. Take me around the side. But I only got to see Lou for a second because he was getting a cold, and he's like, "Oh, dude, I'm getting a cold. You gotta, don't get sick." But I never got to talk to you. You worked with Phil for a few years, and he passed. So can we talk a little bit about Phil and what he meant to you? And
he technically, it's interesting. I met the first time I ever met him or Bobby was only 3 months apart, and I was only 25, approaching 26, the very start of my Warren Haynes career, which is where I started before Phil, and Warren had done a couple of shows with him. They hadn't quite fallen. Phil was still experimenting with different lineups. And the fall '99 tour he was doing with Dylan is kind of where the initial was when I think we realized Warren might be a little more permanent there. And I think Derek was in that band at the time, Derek Trucks. And
saw the Cap Center, saw Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
I think I saw 3 or 4 shows on there.
Warren was doing, he just left the Allman Brothers a couple of years ago, was doing Government Mule with the Trio, and Alan Woody died, Warren's bass player. And that happened in 2000, about almost exactly 5 years from Jerry Garcia dying. And Phil was one of the first and more impactful reach outs to Warren, someone who knew what he was going through and was very encouraging to him. And I think it brought them closer together. And I think it was a big part of how the Q got formed, because it was they were going on tour that fall, and I think it might have been the first time what became the Q lineup was touring fall 2000. So they played One for Woody, and I remember that
doing that rag. They busted out doing that rag. I was like, my God, this is the greatest night.
And something about that set clicked to the band. And that's they just kind of felt like the night the Q became the Q in a way, to this day it's always been one of my favorite Grateful Dead post Garcia Grateful Dead lineups, made it to the Cap last year for what became the last Q shows, what Graham did at the Cap in March was pretty incredible. What he did,
brilliant.
Brilliant. And the Q, it's amazing. The Q made two almost opposite things true at the same time. It made me realize Graham has got to find a way to, the Q won't tour or do 30, dates or anything like that. The schedules are never going to let that happen, but it should do a special thing once or twice a year. It can do that, like what it just did there. And it would be amazing to keep that songbook and that band going in some way, shape, or form. And also that night made me miss Phil more than anything I'd experienced in Grateful Dead music between, since
I was amazed at how well versed Graham was on the bass. I'd never seen him play bass before.
Yeah, I'd seen him do it a couple of times here or there, but you could tell he's been working at it. He sounded great. Just everything he did. He was musical director for 5 nights. He
opened up
really
Garcia's,
and then I think that's when I was starting Dog 80 shows, right. Or I think that's when I was traveling out to Washington. So I knew it was happening, but I didn't quite see it. No.
The thing is, he did Wave to the Wind. He busted out a Wave to the Wind cover. Really? I was like, wow. Dude, come on, man. God help us.
Wild. I mean, I get it if he wants to play every one of those songs once. Maybe if the shoe fits is around the corner, or what was
Childhood's End.
Childhood's End. Childhood's. I mean, I think we also had to see all those songs at least once. If you saw the Grateful Dead '94 or '95, you got all those tunes at least once. Hopefully not all in a row, followed by a victim of the crime drum space or something.
Yep.
Exactly. So we were talking. You were saying about Sam wanting to do 100 shows a year, being out on the road, and the road is tough. And where this is coming from, the hiatus game, Little Smokies, who were a bluegrass kind of band, their guy Andy Dunnigan had retired from the band, so they went on hiatus. And I think the day before this band, Squeaky Feet, who were out of the Pacific Northwest up there, and a band I really love. I thought they had traction. They're going on hiatus. This goes to a larger thing, I guess, with Aqueos, Papadisio, Dopapod, Twiddle, all these bands. The road's hard, huh, Matt?
The road is really hard. I've experienced burnout myself for sure. End of 2023, 2024, early 2024. I think I in some, every hiatus is different. Every everyone, you know, everyone stops for a different reason. But I think there being a lot more recognition and it being okay to talk about mental health more is giving people maybe a little more confidence to step up and go, you know what, I need to stop for a minute. If I'm finding any positives in these, I want to see that. You know, that's kind of what I'm seeing a little bit of, or hoping some of that's there. Obviously, it's live music, rock and roll, whatever you want to call it. It's the road to grind, and I'd rather see hiatuses than people crash and burn. And if that's what, if that's what's happening in some of these cases, then great. And I hope
that's what Dean
get
Ween,
help they need.
The statement from Ween went directly to that.
Yeah,
that they were like, Dean just can't handle it. He doesn't want to do this. He needs.
Kevin also speaks to like what you said though before, like the Garth Brooks model, and even like things with like the Sphere and residencies, like going just to one place and having people come to you to see you, like just sort of like staying put and like doing that.
I think you have to be a certain size, right?
You have to get somewhere. You have to get
to
somewhere to be able to do that.
And honestly, I'm just grateful I've not had to do any long residencies in Las Vegas. I don't think that would be
healthy.
Yeah.
You ever heard about the time I went to Vegas?
the 24 hours he was in Vegas?
About 48 to 72 hours is about the max.
Yes,
I was freaked out that the casino is it. You think you're walking in a straight line and you're walking in a circle and there are no clocks and they pump in the oxygen. And I was like, we're trying to get T on the phone. Get me out of here, man. You gotta help me.
It's like, where are you?
All of it. And even when, and even if you're like, putting on the shows or, in the years as they were Bobby and we're going behind house, you can't do it by yourself. It's just as awful. It's just the same kind of maze back there.
Madness everywhere.
I mean, if it was, it's just following someone like that and hoping you really get to where you need to go, because there's no way I was figuring that out on my own either. And then because if Vegas is that hard, which it would be for me, if you're going to fly back and forth every week, then that's just like being on tour, and you're really in the same grind.
I always what he referred to, what I call the widespread model, is you play every other month 3 or 4 shows, 3 shows or 3 shows 2 weekends in a row, and then
and I feel like Billy Strings has adopted a little bit of that model. I mean, he's still, right now he's out, but he's doing some weeknight shows. But I think I don't think he's got any one night stands, so no hit and runs.
Right,
definitely makes it easier.
How did that happen? How did Billy Strings, a bluegrass guy, which admittedly bluegrass might sell more albums than jazz, but it's probably not one of the big sellers at the end of the year at Billboard, he packs arenas. Well, what do you think he connected with?
I think the pandemic mattered a lot. He played the pandemic really well.
Yeah.
I think, again, when people were look at the bands that blew up coming out of there, and you would look, they played the pandemic really well. Yeah. But I mean, for me, he's got the combo of, he can sing really well. He has songs that get stuck in my head that end up there. I don't know how they got there, so he can write great tunes. The jamming's super interesting to me, and it goes places you don't expect bluegrass to go. I mean, he's basically a heavy metal fan, I think, when it comes down to it. And
when he said it with Tool, he just shredded.
Tool, and then there was that metal band he grew up with. He did this like bar show last year, a couple of nights with some. I know nothing about metal, but to me it looked like some death metal band from Grand Rapids or something, and he played some dive bar 2 nights with them on electric guitar, I think. But I seeing how that gets translated into bluegrass is pretty awesome.
He connects, and he's just got it too. Like, he has a way of connecting with people and
great light show, and he really does. Oh
yeah, that like is really a weird spark that not everyone has or could even, you know what I mean? So there's that element too. He's just got this X factor to him that I don't know, you can't help but like him and like what he's about, and then his music as well. So it's just kind of this whole combination.
I love when he plays the song and I'm listening to it and I'm like, all right, was this written 100 years ago or did he write this last week?
And that I can't tell the difference is part of the beauty of it,
Yeah.
And his songbook is tremendous. I mean, I don't know it well enough to know the ins and outs. I mean, I know our friend Sully is. They can
Hundreds of tunes, got to be hundreds of tunes.
But he's 300-400 tunes in, easy. I mean,
Crazy.
easy at least. And then
choice covers.
It's been wonderful watching him develop and grow like this.
Right, he has I love when the Ghost of Tony Rice comes out, like when he does Likes of Me, and he's got the style down, he's got the vocal down, and if you close your eyes, it could be Tony in
big
prime.
big time Tony Rice influence. He talks about him and Sam talk about that all the time.
Right. So do you think, like, take like a Bela Fleck or a Tony Rice, they push bluegrass to a completely different place and level? Is that something Billy Strings is going to do?
I think he's done it already. I mean, again, just in that he's doing arena tours with these types of light shows and I mean, look at his pedal board, and the effects, and I mean, I just don't think this is groundbreaking the way I see it. No one's done it like this before.
So true. Yeah.
And yet at the same time, because again, I'm new to this world, very admittedly so. But like, I feel like he also is and it's very rare and hard to do. He's walked that tightrope of staying true and pure enough for the elders, and at the same time bringing the new people in. Nobody doubts his heart and love for the music or anything like that. It's not that I've ever.
Right, and that he's a student of it. He's such a student of it.
Absolutely, and all that and more. I think he prides himself on learning from all these new friendships you've made in the music world.
Right. There's a lot of bands in the jamgrass space. I feel like we get whole festivals of these bands, but I feel like it's a tougher subsegment of a subgenre to get traction. And
Yep.
Yeah, it's very specific for sure. And I mean,
also,
the fan base
bands like Leftover Salmon, Railroad Earth have been doing this 25 years, give or take.
Yeah.
Like Sam just did a duo tour with Vince Herman that went wonderfully well. I mean, I had not had a lot of experience with the Leftover Salmon world, and a lot of their fans came out, and it was really cool.
Yeah.
The other day I skeeted something about Chicago, and that jam bands could never make greatest hits albums. Was the gist of what
the band Chicago. Yeah.
Because Chicago 9 is, I mean, every song you're like, wow, you have a whole album where every song is fantastic. And John Kay from Further responded to it about how he hates the term jam bands. What do you think about the term jam bands?
I love it. I embrace it. And when I've met with and talked to a lot of bands, as I'm still willing to take on one more, and I encourage the ones that are like that. I said I would embrace it.
When I talked to Alan Evans once, we asked him about that, and he was like, "If they're coming and buying a ticket, I don't care what you call me." I was like, "That's the answer."
That too. I mean, there's also that I believe. Yeah, I agree with that side of it too. Also, who cares how people label it if it makes them feel better?
Right. I feel like younger bands, when you talk to a band that's 2 or 3 years in, you're like, well, do you like the jam band label? They're like, we're blah, 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 blah.
Right.
Like, what did Leftover Salmon used to say? Slam, like electric.
Slam grass or something. Yeah. Something like that. Something like that. Yeah. Oh, yeah. God Street Wine tried to run from it. But I formed, but like many things, maybe it's named poorly, but what it represents is all my favorite music. So
I think it's the community as
called.
much as
that's what it's called.
Yeah.
I think it's the bands as much as the community as much as the band in that term for me.
Yeah.
So God Street is playing better than they ever have. True or false?
Yeah, they sound amazing. I gotta say, they sound fantastic.
Yeah, true, 100%.
Yeah,
simply amazing.
And they still, they truly are America's best bar band. I mean, nobody plays a sweaty dive bar like them. I mean, it is, and Nectar's. It came out last fall. Asbury Park, the Wonder Bar. I mean,
It's awesome.
Right.
They sound.
We all thought it was
The sound,
1995 all over again. I mean,
it's so great.
It was wild. Yeah, they are at home in the dive bar, and it's there's something just it can turn into just that pure, authentic garage rock and roll in a way.
It's perfect. It's great. It's so
I
good.
feel like the playing less helps them because if you watch the documentary, I forget what the documentary is called, but they talk about when it got to the end, it was just like a struggle to go out there every night. And now that they've revived it and they're what, 15 years into the revival?
Yeah, I mean the memorial where they played together for the first time was in 2009 in May, and then the following summer they did the first MS benefits with the Gramercy and Irving Plaza shows. So yeah, the 15 years. I mean, obviously there were a couple of years they didn't play every year.
Right.
There were a couple of years off in between, but basically 15 years into the reunion era, whatever 3.0 if you want to call it that, and they only existed for about 11 years before then. Originally it was 88 to 99 basically.
How much rehearsal did they get in?
They usually do 2 or 3 days, and then they do long sound checks, 2-3 hours a day often. And so, but they communicate a lot off the road. So song ideas are going back and forth. I mean, they recorded that whole new album, Maniloking, and other songs. They were never in the room at the same time. And so, in a way that they're really good at keeping active during the downtime.
What's up with the Christie song? They never played it live.
Christie. No, what about? Well, they talked about playing it in DC actually, and then it never happened. I don't think it didn't help certainly because now she's what's she in charge of, our Homeland Security or something?
Oh man! So I saw something today, an article today. Let me ask you about this. We'll take a complete left turn. European bands from other countries are like just not going to come to America anymore.
I saw an article today about one band. It was $8,000 for their Coachella visas or something, and again, just because you got the visa, unless you were a born and raised American citizen and white and holding that passport, careful at the border, which is really frightening. I think it's going to impact a lot, and I worry about bands traveling overseas because I feel like often there's, things are done in reverse than to Americans. If they're making it harder on Europeans, and Europeans end up making it harder on them, it all and flows like it's harder to get.
They call that reciprocal.
Exactly, reciprocal. It's not just reciprocal tariffs, reciprocal everything, treatment, and all that. None of this is going to help the music industry or live music or touring or any of it, nor will costs going up or anything like that. I mean, that's I've got a notification from God Street Wine's online merch store that we're gonna, but no prices are going up yet, but the cost of raw T-shirts and materials may explode imminently.
Yeah, people forget all your T-shirts come from China.
No, not necessarily, but
somewhere.
I mean, who didn't get tariffed? I mean, I can't even order a penguin without it getting tariffed.
Exactly.
So
one bright spot is that toilet paper is generally made within the United States, so toilet paper should not go up.
There you go.
This is what we're hoping.
Yeah.
All right, you want to talk about some other bands and concerts coming up? Things I saw. I'll just read a little bit, and then tell me if you know anything because you might know behind the scenes stuff. Mark and Aaron from Disco Biscuits are playing a show at the Joy Theater during Jazzfest, I guess.
Night one of Jazzfest, yeah.
Yeah, and they have not on April 24th, Thursday. So I guess it's the Thursday before the first weekend. But they have not announced who the other surprise guests are going to be, and it's called Foie Gras and Crumpets.
And they all have like alias names too.
Frankie Bosco, Franz Petit Lupin, and Bobby Cornstarch.
Cornstarch, that's it. Yeah.
Do these names? Have these names come from anywhere before?
No, I don't know. There's like clues in there though.
I think it's a play off of the title of the thing and being in New Orleans, and then their names. I think it's just sort of this themed thing they're embracing.
Got it.
But yeah, it's pretty funny.
Well,
Pretty
who else
good.
is? I get. Well, if it's Jazzfest, there's too many people in New Orleans that weekend, so that doesn't help narrow down who it might be. I assume.
No, I think Mark said that it was the first time in a long time they've been down there. I haven't been to Jazzfest since 2023. Have you been down there in the past 20 years?
I was there in 2023 with Deadco.
Oh, right.
For a while, I was there a lot with Warren those years. So I would say like 2001, 2, 3.
Mm-hmm.
I was
when
there.
Mule opened up for Phil.
When Mule opened up for Phil, oh yeah, we did like 5 shows in one day or something, and
that was huge.
And then I was just as a fan. I went the year PHiSH played in '96. That was the first time I ever went to New Orleans or Jazzfest.
Nice.
That was also the first time I ever saw David Grisman play music, and I told him the wonderful story about how I'd gone straight there from the fairgrounds. I mean, I was 22 years old. I didn't know shit about shit, but the door to Tipitina's was open, so I strolled on in, and oh my God, the band's on stage playing. This is the coolest thing ever. And I got this little pocket disposal camera. I start snapping pictures, and after whatever song got done, I don't think he actually said anything, but the way he looked at me, David Grisman threw me right out of Tipitina's faster than I could figure out where I was. And I did tell that story.
Have you ever told him this story?
Yeah, I told him that story at his kitchen table last fall when before he sat in with Sam's band in Seattle. He didn't remember it, thankfully. But, he remembered the gig. He remembered playing Tipitina's around that time, and then actually we then in that same conversation realized we had worked on something else together because he plays mandolin on "Lay of the Sunflower" on Government Mule record that they did after Alan Woody. It's Lay of the Sunflower was a Robert Hunter Warren Haynes tune, beautiful tune.
Yes.
And he plays a gorgeous mandolin part on it. And so we had actually had worked on that back in, I guess, around 2001, 2002 maybe.
I got to see some of Warren New Year's, I guess, and he did a whole set of the OG Mule. Just the trio.
Yes, I went to I only went to PHiSH 28, 29. I went to Warren 30, 31. It was all the previous Mule Year's Eve moments sort of in a row, because the 3 I did were like basically the kickoff of it, including the Who medley into Dazed and Confused, and then 20th Century Schizoid Man. That was all the Millennium. That was what turned into 2000. That same trio of songs, and that was amazing. I was so happy to see that was the plan. I thought it was just brilliant. And then the first set they did just as a trio with Kevin Smith, and I guess he really brings it. He is the most Woody they've found.
It's fantastic.
So
do we ever get I guess we don't ever get a tour though with just the trio, huh? It seems like Warren's dug into his new band. It seems like being the Warren Haynes band, and he's kind of, which I like. I dig what they do with that. He has that whole catalog. I mean, all those songs he wrote with like Greg Allman, like Just Before the Bullets Fly, and all that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of those tunes Mule used to do, that like 89 era Allman's tunes, End of the Line, Gambler's Roll, that used to be in Mule catalogs with Woody. I would love to see Warren actually do because whatever Mule with the keyboards or second guitar or horn, Danny Lewis turns a trio into a 5 or 6 piece band in a way, because he is so multifaceted. And so to me, it's not a whole lot different when he does Warren Haynes band with 5 or 6 people. And so he did like Warren Haynes band and then the trio as like his sort of alternate project. I'd love to see that.
Because the trio is
white into trio Government Mule. Yeah.
I think I saw
when the bass player is like that, the trio is my thing. Like I think it's that they finally found a bass player in 25 years that can do this. That isn't Dave Schools or O'Teal. I mean, some of those new school Government Mule tours, and then when O'Teal was in the band with Chuck Leavell that was a killer 4-piece band.
Well, what is Kevin's resume before?
I don't really know. I'd never heard of him before this.
Right. I haven't either. I have to look that up. Remember Blue Floyd?
I remember Blue Floyd really well. Yeah. Barry Oakley
Were you
Jr.
around then? Were
Yeah,
you on the road with them?
I wasn't on their tour per se, but I remember a run of Northeast shows, including like the Bottom Line, like early and late shows, and then Wetlands.
The Wrecker in Towson.
Yep, I remember the Wrecker in Town. I remember Government Milk Trio shows there too.
I like to call it the Rectum.
Fits. There was a dive bar for dive.
I got thrown out of there twice for the same show. It was the Super Suckers and Reverend Horton Heat. And during the Super Suckers set, I decided I had just gotten married. I was going to smoke a joint. They were like, no. They sent me out. And I'm standing out there, and this woman's like, you need a ticket, and gives me a ticket. So I give him the ticket and walk back in, light up another joint when the Reverend comes on and get thrown out again by the same guy. And he was so pissed. I was like, I'm getting my ass kicked tonight.
He's like, and you're smoking a joint again, you jackass. Like you're getting thrown out for the same reason. You deserve to get hit for that.
And I said to him the second time, dude, I just got married. It's cool. And he was like,
was Mark Ford the fourth in Blue Floyd? It was Alan Woody, but he played guitar.
Right, Johnny Neal.
Johnny Neal. Oh my God,
yeah, Johnny
Neal.
Neal. And Matt Apps was on drums.
And Matt Apps on drums. And Woody played guitar. Oh my God, Johnny Neal. He passed away recently, didn't he?
Yeah, I think he did. They did all Floyd, or mostly Floyd.
We took out with the Government Mule Trio for like a few runs here or there, where he just played like a B3 and B4th. And he was blind. I would often walk him through, walk him around.
Right? Didn't he play with the Allman Brothers for a time? Maybe not. I might be making that up. It might just be all the Warren connections. I
think he was in the Warren Haynes band. He may have been in the Dickie Betts band.
Right, right. Good old Dickie Betts band.
Yeah, he could sing and play. Johnny Neal.
Right. Did you see any of that Dwayne Betts tribute show?
I think, I did watch some of it, if I remember correctly. I think I was on the road, but I remember catching an hour or two of it.
Just having Warren and Derek and O'Teal back on stage together was like they never missed a beat.
Yep. I'm very excited. I'm going to Brothers of the Garden next week, Tuesday and Wednesday. So I'm very excited. I remember, I forget who I was talking to, but I remember when I was watching that, I think they were doing Liz Reed, and I was like, I can't wait to hear this when it's Joe Russo and JMO on drums.
Who else is going to be there for that?
Warren, Derek, O'Teal, Chuck, and then the drumming is some combo of Joe Russo, JMO, and Isaac Eddy. I'm guessing Isaac's there if JMO needs a tune or two off.
Right.
There are definitely another name or two I'm omitting. I remember. Right. I feel like there's another name or two on the advertisement, but
JMO's the only one left, right?
JMO's the only original left. Yeah. Obviously, Warren has, I guess, the next longest
tenure
going back to 98.
Yeah.
Other than a few year gap, like 97 to 2000, 2001. Derek Trucks came on in 2000 or 99.
Mm-hmm.
So he'd probably have the next longest serving. And O'Teal came on after Alan Woody left the band.
Or had a problem, right?
Right. It was before Woody died, though. So it was when it was 90. So he came on then in 98 also when Woody and Warren left.
They revamped the band and it was fantastic. And I feel like it finally gave O'Teal the stage he needed. When he played with Aquarium Rescue Unit, you were in awe, but it was in a bar.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I've seen the Allman Brothers. The first time I saw them was 95. And I've seen and worked more. I mean, it's got to be 300 shows. I mean, I don't know.
Right. Every summer they were good.
Very excited to see them next week. Really glad they find a way to keep it going a little bit, even if it's not even every year. But because I don't feel like they do Derek, Warren, O'Teal. They'll touch on Brothers from time to time in their solo projects, but I feel like not as often as me as a fan would like to see.
Right.
Because I do love. There's so many good songs, and I really think Warren and Susan sing them wonderfully. As does O'Teal or Lamar Williams, and OT sings in O'Teal's band often. They certainly have the personnel to do them. So I'm very excited to hear the songbook over 2 nights. I feel like it doesn't get played enough. In fact, one of my favorite moments of the Taper's Choice Brooklyn Bowl Relics 50 party was Ain't Wasting Time No More. That lit me up to opening notes. I was like, whatever I was doing, I was like, nope, I'm just listening to this. There's not enough people cover the Allman Brothers.
That's so true. That's awesome.
That's true. Trey always goes into Mountain Jam territory. It's like a Jason. You're like, dude.
Yeah. He goes into Allman's Mountain Jammy, Liz Reedy, and then he also goes into Let It Grow. There's a tune he's going around that. Dun dun. He's almost about to go into the part where it comes all the way back around.
I wonder if he realizes.
Good question. I don't know. I mean, I would sometimes when it's that close, I would think so.
Right.
But
I feel like it maybe in the moment
you're gotten the type of crowd war where it's that obvious, where so maybe
right.
If it got to the point where the crowd reacted to it, then he's gonna, then he's got to know what they're reacting to. If it hasn't
got to click,
then I don't know that. Someone's got to remember to ask him that.
There you go. All right.
Mid-90s Almonds at Great Woods. I'm just seeing the comment. That was incredible time. Incredible time for that. That would be Warren Woody.
Right? Didn't they have an album or a video of that?
2 albums. That was a VHS release or something, right?
It was cool back then because at that point they had the little acoustic mini set that they would do, like going down the road or something.
Yeah. That was and I love those albums back where it all begins and was that 7 Turns and then what was the other one? The Line and
back where it all began.
Yeah.
Back where it all began was fantastic.
The Almonds were on the Horde tour. It was another great run.
They were huge. They could have been big.
And they played Jazzfest like every year.
Did they play the same year PHiSH did? 96. Yeah. I remember seeing them at Lakefront Arena certainly during that weekend.
I went the next weekend in 96 and we get in the cab and talking to the cab driver, I'm like, how was PHiSH? He's like, they don't tip.
Right.
There you go. I think you ruined it for us, guys.
Big boat of 87 Oldsmobile Cutlass Sierra, like 5 of us.
Oh man! The first time I landed in New Orleans, I felt like I'd come home. I felt home like for the first time in my life. It was very strange. Maybe it's being that much below sea level has something to do with it. Oh,
it's the music. It's the music everywhere. Because like as soon as you land at the airport, there's music, like good music everywhere, and you're just like constantly. And then once you get into the city, it's good music and good food, and you're like, how do I not like love this place? It's amazing.
God, I haven't been in so long. I got to take my kids now that they've grown up and
there you go.
Can have a drink with me. When they were little, I was like, what do I do? Go there and go during the day and not go out at night because I got a 6 and an 8-year-old.
Now you can get them Sazeracs.
Right, exactly. So if you aren't going to go see the Eagles on Halloween, Swanee released their Halloween lineup, and they got Goose, they got String Cheese, Joe Russo, the Biscuits. Have you ever been to Halloween?
I don't think I have. I mean, I've been to the site. I've been to Swanee. Did the Wanee Festival multiple years, which was more of it was sort of like Peach Fest, the South. Right. So I've been to the site multiple times, but I've never done Halloween's more String Cheese produced one, I assume, or
right.
Like they're always involved every year, right?
Definitely. Yeah. Because the hula hoop, I never understood that. I used to go see String Cheese a bunch. I never understood that. But we're also getting disco beams. They have a alternate ego tractor beam, which I find fascinating. They seem to get some traction of it. I've seen other bands try that, and it just doesn't work. Kendall Street Company tried to say they were a band called Sauerkraut and released a Kraftwerk kind of sounding song, and it just, I don't think that it got legs.
I'm not too familiar with Tractor Beam.
It's basically they remix themselves live, I think is what it is.
Got it.
Kind of thing, something like that. I don't know either. I have a tough time keeping up. When we had Mark on once, and we asked him to explain Disco Biscuit's set list to us. You know, inverted and dyslexic, and you're like, what does all this mean? Why do they have backwards arrows in songs? God help us. I love the Disco Biscuits, though. Fun stuff.
I love those guys too.
30th anniversary this year.
Oh wow.
Man.
Good for them. Holy shit.
Yeah, that's
That's
pretty
crazy.
amazing. Tough
that
to
is.
get 30 years in.
I mean, I
and
will
one
say
more-
that festival looks sweet though over Halloween. Like if you have the days to go, like instead of just doing like a fish run where you get
Mhm.
obviously fish 4 nights in a Halloween show, like that's like a full festival with tons of bands and shit going on. Like that
Mhm.
looks awesome. Like that's fun. I hate the
That's-
name, but it looks a lot of
It's a
fun.
lot of bands in one weekend for sure.
Yeah, a lot. Yeah, right. Like you're packing in a lot of music.
Where are you with Eggy, Matt? You
Oh, I like
listen
them.
to
I've seen
at
them
all?
a couple of times, and I really like their singing. I really like their group improvisation. I think it's wonderful. Spent a little time with Jake. He sat in with Sam Grisman in
right,
Bridgeport, Connecticut last month.
You also got to play Alligator and the Bean.
Yeah, we talked about that.
That's crazy.
Yeah, which
So Jake and Danny got to sit in with My Morning Jacket for Steam Engine the other night.
Jake and I'm sorry, and who else?
Danny, the keyboard player.
God, oh wow, right on. Oh,
You know, and then
oh, they
Karina
were-
Reichman.
Yeah,
Karina
so
Reichman
Karina was
sat
like
in
at
for a run.
Yeah, so she was she's been on tour with them, hasn't she? Or at least maybe open for them at times. Or
Yeah,
I think so.
It
Yeah.
wasn't the first interaction. I'm going to try to see her here in New York in I think May at Webster Hall. She's playing maybe May 10th, something like that.
Yeah, her biggest show yet.
Yeah, I could see it.
Which we had her on once, and I said her name wrong.
Yeah, I was at a Brooklyn Bowl. She sang it with Dogs in a Pile. On her, they did her tune. Actually, it was very cool.
We talked a little bit about Dog, but everybody was very excited, thinking we were going to get a drop of the show, and it didn't happen because
Dog wants to remix it himself, and that wasn't going to happen in the 12 hours after the show ended. That it would have need to be done to then be synced to the video to blah blah blah, to be ready for whatever date we had originally picked to do the stream. So he's gonna mix it good and proper, and then it'll get synced to the video, and then we'll pick a date and time that makes sense. And if it takes him 9 months to do it, then we'll see in 9 months. Hopefully, between now and 9 months, he'll have gone. You know what? I want to do shows because.
Well, I mean, but how do you mix something if there's just one condenser mic?
Oh no, they're around that. That's the main mic. But there's about 6 or 7 mics. There's room mics. You got to balance the crowd.
Right.
There's. Believe me, he can make a 9-month project out of it. I promise you. And no one, when they hear it, will say it wasn't worth the wait because
right. There you go.
When he puts the thought and effort into it, it will be.
Right. So I know that you're not going to want to answer this, but what were your highlights of it? I know you don't want to leave anybody.
I mean, Grateful Dog for sure. Even though I know there were a few issues at one point of it. They hit a wall in the middle of it or something. I'm most familiar with the Garcia Grisman stuff, so seeing Billy do that with Dog and Craven and Kerwin, I knew was pretty special. Because that was the 4-piece, was just Jerry, right. Dog, Kerwin, and Craven. And I really, the opening set with Sam and Billy and Alex Hargraves and Dom Leslie in particular, who just blows me away on mandolin more and more every time I hear him play. He usually tours at Molly's Huddle. And Ronnie McCurry, who I've gotten to know over the last few years. His son Heaven, also wonderful players and people. That opening set really, that is kind of the future of this music. I mean, what's amazing is around the time of his birthday when all these people were posting is every younger name in that acoustic music bluegrass scene. There's a picture of 12, 13-year-old them on some stage somewhere with David Grisman. It's every member of Billy Strings Band. Sam's band, like they're all around the same age. They're all the same group of friends. They're all the same group of pickers. You're in Nashville. 30 of these guys are in someone's house almost any day of the week.
It's the new grass.
Yeah, whether it's picking for fun or actual rehearsal for something they're doing somewhere else. I mean, it's almost hard to tell where that one begins and the other ends. I mean, this is just how they do it. So just for me, just that's it was kind of a new experience for me. Where it goes,
the logistics of that have to be crazy.
Yeah, rehearsal started on the rehearsal day at 10 a.m. with with the core 5 or 6, Ronnie, Billy, Sam, Dom, etc., Alex, and I left at 9:45 at night and they were still going. And I know it started in Dawg's room the next day at 10:30 a.m. and that show ended at 11 p.m. And there wasn't much of a, if 5 or 6 people, when you have 30 musicians, at some point someone was always playing and rehearsing. 10 might be eating, but the other 10 are picking somewhere. And I couldn't tell often if I was walking into actual rehearsal or are we just doing this for fun right now. Someone just remember this tune. Oh yeah. Then next thing you know, they're playing it for 15 minutes.
But I've often heard that the true masters of their instruments carry them around. Like Trey always has a guitar.
Trey, Jerry, Billy is like that for sure. Yeah, Bobby's always like that. Absolutely.
That's crazy.
These guys never put their instruments down. But when it's music that you're playing around condenser mics, well, you don't need to be plugged in to play it. So it's really the days sometimes are like
that's gotta kill your fingers. They're playing acoustic instruments.
When they're young, it's how their fingers get strong. And what I've learned is when they're old, it's what keeps the arthritis away, is to just keep playing.
When I worked at the 8x10, this one guy one night had his callus fell off, and he was like, "Do you got any super glue?"
Super glue, yeah.
And when he glued that back one.
Seen it.
I was like, dude, you're crazy, man.
I've seen it.
Rocket. God help us. So there's a lot going on with Neil Young, actually, isn't there?
There is a lot going on with Neil Young.
Because I was going to mention something that's happening this weekend, but did you have something too?
Well, we just had which will be our new logo for the Neil Young Minute, but we just saw a picture of him protesting up in Canada the other day. I think it's a recent picture. It looks like a recent picture of him, but and the protest was Canadian. So yeah, there's that.
Scared to go to Europe. That they weren't going to let him back.
Oh my god,
that's right, as he should be now, especially. But yeah, that was there was a few things. Kev, what else did you have?
Well, this on the 12th, which I guess is Saturday, he is playing with Maggie Rogers and Joan Baez and others at an rally called Fighting Oligarchy with Bernie Sanders and AOC.
Wow. Yeah, there you go.
So he's going to stir it up and still go to Europe, I guess.
And he's got Daryl Hannah, the actress, Daryl Hannah from Splash and whatnot, directed a documentary on Neil Young that is going to be released soon. So that's pretty crazy. I think it hits theaters April 17th. I can never
get her with the eye patch out of my head.
Right. From Kill Bill. Yeah, it looks good. It hits theaters April 17th. We'll see if it gets wider distribution or not. But yeah, there's that to see. A lot of Neil Young in the news these days. I feel like ever since we started the Neil Young Minute, maybe we just pay attention to it more. It's always been there. We just haven't noticed.
It's like when you learn a new word and then all of a sudden you hear people saying it and you're like, what is that?
I've never heard that before.
Because your radar hadn't gone up on it. So what else do you got coming up, Matt?
I'm trying to stay home for this month. So 2 brother shows next week here in New York, 2 or 3 Yankee games here in New York, or as many of those as I can get to. I think the next time I'm going to travel for a show will be I'm going to go when Sam plays the new Garcias May 2nd.
Okay.
Look forward to checking that place out. Yet? No, I'm looking forward to checking it out. Not at all.
First time? Nice.
And so I'll go back there in September with God Street too, I'm sure. And so I'll probably be at I haven't quite looked past next week to see what else is coming through New York, but you know, very often.
You're gonna listen to any PHiSH?
Brooklyn Ball of the Cap. West Coast. Right, that's
2 a.m. 2 a.m. end time.
I won't make it to 2 a.m., but I could, you know, I guess I could listen to a set one before I pass out. So I'll be.
It is a tough call.
Yeah, you gotta drink some coffee.
That works. That works for me. I tend to. It was similar on the West Coast. I feel like I would often stream set one at 4 o'clock, 4:35, and then, you know, go make dinner or something and listen to set two the next morning or something like that.
Should be interesting.
Now I might do it in reverse, set one at 10 before I fall asleep, set two in the morning.
There you go. There you go.
You know, Trey has been out on tour, right? Doing the solo acoustic. He's had Tansky coming out doing the duo thing. You think that's going to affect what PHiSH does at all?
Is he doing any like new tunes or tunes they haven't done with PHiSH in a while? Because I
A
feel
lot
like
of petrichors. Like every other night, there's a petrichor with him and Tansky. And I swear to God, listen to it. It sounds like they're going to go into the acoustic "Heaven Help the Fool" from Radio City in '80.
Is it I mean, is it a pattern that when Trey starts experimenting with different songs on solo or solo band tours, that ends up?
Yeah, like what's going through your mind was
right. We had all those tunes last year when he played that. Would he do a trio tour?
Yes,
then,
right, exactly.
And
yes.
a lot of those tunes ended up in PHiSH. So if that's
Monster
a sort of pattern, then maybe that's what's going to happen here.
I'm having a feeling, and you're going to get a petrichor in Seattle there too.
Yeah. Hey,
I saw the Seattle 2023 shows. Was that the last time they were there? 2022.
How is that arena? Isn't it new?
What was it, 22?
It was nice. I remember.
Yeah.
Climate Pledge.
Climate Pledge. Yeah, it was. You know, new clean hockey arena. You know.
Yeah. I like the dirty ones.
They screwed up our seating, if I remember correctly. They like double sold our seats.
Nice.
And we got moved mid set.
Sweet.
It wasn't.
No, they didn't upgrade you.
Really good seats. It wasn't actually.
Oh man, they're supposed to upgrade you.
It was somewhat lateral. We had really good seats. They really couldn't upgrade us. Was the problem.
Oh yeah, well, there you go. You're like, how do you make this right?
There wasn't much they could do.
Amateur night.
Exactly.
It was amateur night in Seattle. All right. You have fun next week at that Allman Brothers.
I can't wait.
Yeah, that's gonna be awesome.
I'm excited to see that. I believe they're rehearsing already, or maybe they start tomorrow or something.
Do you get to go peek your head in?
I wasn't planning on it. I got a pretty busy next 7 days coming up, so I hadn't even thought about it. But
right. Well, thank you for your time tonight.
Have a couple old friends in town last night I hadn't seen in a minute, which was good.
Oh, nice. Well, yeah, thanks for making time for us tonight.
It was great to be here again.
Appreciate it, man. It's good seeing you. I missed you when Sam was out here. I ended up not going to the show, so I missed seeing you. And I know Dave Harrington was there. I missed seeing you guys. So
yeah, we'll be back.
Good. I'll see you then.
For sure. It went really well. Yep.
Hang out for a second while we're on the outro.
Yeah.
Kev, you never did any housekeeping.
This is where the credits roll. Make sure that you like, comment, subscribe.
Hey, watch the debates. Don't we have some debates starting up tomorrow? Rock and Roll Hall of Fame debates.
Yes, I turned the page. I don't know who it is in front of me. Oh, Mariah Carey. God bless.
I thought it was Chubby Checker.
Oh, Chubby Checkers. I don't know.
I thought Chubby's tomorrow, and then Mariah, and then Soundgarden. I don't know.
Exactly.
We got a bunch to do though. We got lots. So
we got work to do. Sit, Ubu, sit.